This video is made possible by Second Call Defense. Second Call Defense provides immediate, upfront legal protection for a member who is forced to use any legal weapon for self-defense. So protect yourself today with Second Call Defense. I did. You'll find the link in the description. Hi, I'm Joel Persinger. I'm the Gun Guy. Thank you very much for all of your support of GunGuyTV. I'm super grateful for everything that you do. Please join GunGuyTV crew if you'd like to support. That would be great. You'll find all the exclusive content I produce that you cannot find anywhere else, including the entire 1 hour audio podcast, which we produce on the 5th and the 20th. And it'll be in video form. You get to watch us crazy people be crazy people. Now, if you'd like to listen to the podcast free, you can do that as well in your favorite podcast player, at least the first half of it. You can also find it free in video form on Rumble, and there are links in the description. I've got a great interview today with Jim Hogan, and Pete E. is going to join us as well. Yeah, Pete E., he doesn't ever share his last name, so we just always make him up. So I'll make one up for him today as soon as we get him on the show. Jim has a terrific charity called Socks for Heroes. I want you to hear his story, and I hope that you will support him, because I do, Pete does, and frankly, I think everybody should. So let's go talk to Jim. Pete is going to join us, and I hope we'll have a great conversation that you'll enjoy. Thank you again for watching. I really appreciate these two gentlemen. I've got Pete E., who, again, never shares his name, even on the podcast or anything else, so we just assign a name to Pete every time. And so this time Pete's name is Pete Evermore, and who knows what it'll be the next time around. But there he is, Pete Evermore. We've also got Jim Hogan. It's Hogan, isn't it, Jim?
It is.
Yeah, Jim is our guest today. And I'm very excited to have Jim here because I've actually been on the range with Jim, and he provided guns and ammunition and
targets.
And he just let me shoot. That was pretty cool because he had a really cool event up at Rahagi's that is a tremendous charity, and I absolutely love it. So, Jim, if you wouldn't mind, these two guys, by the way, are friends. You don't think that Pete Evermore has friends, but he does. I'm one of them, and Jim's another one. But maybe, Jim, you could tell us about your charity, how you got started, and if you have any events coming up. I think you have one coming up pretty soon, don't you?
I do. So basically, my wife Carla and I are the founders and operators of Socks for Heroes, which is part of the Southern California Marine Corps Support Group. We like to travel around and bring the entire organization with us because it fits into our car. It's Carla and I. But we started it in May of 2011. It's an offshoot in that on August 26, 2009, our son Donald was killed by an IED in Afghanistan. He'd joined the Marine Corps. He was one of those people that, it's like a lot of the kids that joined the Marines, that was just looking for something bigger than him. And we weren't exactly excited about it. My dad was a Marine for 22 years. And the Marine gene kind of jumped over me, but landed squarely on him. And one day he came home and started yelling at us about how we were making his life miserable, and that he was sick of us telling him what to do. And so he decided to join the Marine Corps. And we thought, dude, if you don't like people telling you what to do, maybe the Marine Corps wasn't the right career choice for you. But you know what? He loved being a Marine. And he shipped off to Afghanistan and was part of the initial Marine incursion into Helmand, which was Operation Kanjar in June of 2009. And Donald was just one of those kids that wanted to be the very best of anything that he could do. And he used to run the Minesweeper, which he never told us, and we were grateful to him for not doing that. But one day, he and his guys got told that a report from a villager that there was an IED out on a road, and him and his guys went to look for it. And they couldn't find it, and they were getting ready to go back. And all of a sudden, Donald saw somebody pulling a kite string. And He knew what that meant, which was it was a manually triggered IED. So he pushed the Marine closest to him out of the way and got in between the IED and the rest of his guys screaming, wire. And the IED went off and it killed him. And you know what happened is that, as you could probably imagine, when that wire killed him, he damn near killed us. And, the people that came around us were the Marines. And, they closed around Carla and I and our daughter and supported us in a way that I could only describe as intimate. They really became part of our family. And when his guys went back to Afghanistan, we asked them, what can we do for you? And they said, you could send us some socks. And we thought, well, that's kind of weird. Doesn't the military give you socks? And no, Mr. Hogan. In fact, they don't give us anything. And so we said, okay, fine, we'll ship you some socks. And, it sounds like a pretty simple thing to do, except for the fact that, a Marine in a combat zone wears his boots for about 3 days at a time. And there's no place for him to wash. It's just, you get a pair of socks, you put them on once, and then you burn them because there's nothing left of them. And so one day we went down to Walmart and bought a couple hundred, pairs of socks, put it in a box and shipped them off. And a couple weeks later, we got another note saying, hey, Mr. Hogan, we could use some more. So down to Walmart, a couple $100, shipped them off. And after a couple of months, this is starting to get a little expensive. And I'm thinking, you know what, we need to probably tie a can to this. And then one day I got a note from another kid with another unit that said, hey, Mr. Hogan, if you're sending socks, we could sure use some too. And that's how Socks for Heroes was born. From our first box in May of 2011, we shipped 10,000 pair the first month, and we're closing up on 900,000 pair this year.
Almost 1 million pairs of socks. Wow.
And what? It's changed a great deal. We used to primarily ship to Marines, and then somebody else was sitting in a combat zone that some Marines felt sorry for them and gave them some socks. And then we started shipping to the Army. We shipped to special operators. We shipped to the Air Force. We ship to anybody who's anywhere. And what's funny about it is a lot of people think that, the war is over, but we still got guys sitting out in places in Syria and in Iraqi Kurdistan and Niger and Kenya and Somalia, and they're fighting people that aren't particularly pleasant. And most recently, we've been shipping a lot of socks to, the eastern flank of NATO, the Baltics, Poland, for a bunch of guys that are waiting for, that whack job with his hand on the nuclear button to do something stupid. And, the thing about it is that that's just one part of our mission. The other part of our mission is to remind people that, the military isn't just a faceless entity like the government or the IRS. You know what? It's made up of a bunch of kids, a bunch of Americans that come from our neighborhoods and our states and our nation. And what happened, and the way that struck me is that one day, we'd been about 4 or 5 years into it, and one of Donald's drill instructors sent us a bunch of pictures. He found out what we were doing. And it's easy to find us. It's socks4heroes.com, or just type in Socks for Heroes on Google. We're all over the place. But he said, and one of the pictures that he sent me was the day that Donald became a Marine. There's an exercise at the end of your training at boot camp. It's called the Crucible. and you spend about 72 hours in the most miserable conditions of your life. And what they do is they give you a whole bunch of problems to solve with your unit. And it's designed to just be the capstone of your training. And at the end of it, they put them all down on the parade deck. This is a picture of my son the day that he became a Marine. And one of the things that's curious about it is that while he's in perfect focus, everybody else in the picture isn't. They're just a little blurry. And what I realized is that unless you've served, or unless you have somebody in your family that's a member of the armed services and serving, is that the military is just faceless. And I think that's wrong. Because these are young men and women who have set their own lives aside for 4 years to do something bigger than themselves and to protect the other citizens of our nation. And when they step up and they take that oath, they provide our nation an open checkbook that includes everything up to and including their lives, which our son ended up allowing them to cash that check. And so one of the things that we try to do is we every week I do a blog, and I post pictures of the kids with the socks. We send stuff out to all of these units across the world. We've sent socks to probably, at this point, probably 50, 60,000 Americans. And all we ask them for is just send us a picture of your kids with the socks. And if you pull up you go to our Facebook page, Socks for Heroes, you can see hundreds and hundreds of pictures of people holding socks with a smile on their face. And what we tell people is this: you have a choice on what you do today. You could go out and buy a cup of Starbucks, or you could send us $10 and send 5 kids a pair of socks. The difference is that pretty soon the Starbucks is going to be gone. But the warm feeling that pair of socks generated in 5 kids, knowing that somebody at home hadn't forgotten about them, that pretty much lasts forever. The oddest thing about our little charity is this: we're one of the, we're kind of unique in the fact that we have honored the institution that our son loved. And so with that, we have no political affiliation. We have no civic affiliation. We are completely dependent on the generosity of the people that support our military. And the people that are most generous are the people that support the Second Amendment. I'll tell you what, our organization is driven on gunpowder and bullets. When we were about a year into it, we made a relationship with a fellow by the name of Greg Buslog at On Target. And he said, why don't we have a shooting event? And our first shooting event was Shoot Your Socks Off. We raised a couple of $1,000, and a fellow wandered in and gave us a check for another couple $1,000. And we thought, wow, this is great. But then again, socks cost us 64 cents a pair. That led from Shoot Your Socks Off, led to Warrior Night. Warrior Night, we did about 13 of those with Greg. And, Greg was great with us. Him and the friends of the NRA showed us how to run a shooting event. And then we made some changes, and we started working with Rahagis, and we started off with something called the Operator Challenge because we thought it was cool. And it was great. We had a Punisher skull, and it was the best logo on earth, but nobody showed up because of the fact that they were afraid. And so then we started America Shoots for Her Troops. And you know what? And we just write charity fund share. And we pretend that it's a competition, but a lot of people, we have Marines that come down and help us, and they kind of liken it to the Special Olympics with guns. But we've partnered with.
I went out there, Jim, and I shot, and I hit the berm every time, and you still were kind to me.
Absolutely.
Fortunately, Pete was shooting next to me. Right. Fortunately, Pete was shooting next to me, so at least it sounded like I was hitting the steel because he was.
Well, I'll tell you something. What's been funny about it is it's evolved over the years, and now it's a 10-gun format. I mean, we partnered with Sig Sauer a long time ago, and we have a lot of friends in the industry. Turner's Outdoorsman is a huge supporter of ours. The folks at Rahagis have been nothing but kind to us. I mean, without their support, we wouldn't be able to stay in business. But, the thing about it is that, we do 10 guns, and our upcoming event, which is going to be the Socks for Heroes Open on November 5th, is going to be a sport event. We shoot 10 guns, and it's going to be 94 shots. We've got 345s, a 1911, and a SIG 220. 220s, one's a combat, and one's a police special. Some of the pistols have red dots, and we've got a SIG 229 and another, the SIG 226, which is the old Mark 25, which the SEALs used to use. And then we've got 5 rifles. We've got 3 M4 variants, a 5.16, an MCX, and an M400. We've got an MPX 9mm carbine and a 7.16 308, which it'll wake you up when it goes off.
And then
what happens is that you'll shoot, each person shoots at 10 targets, and we score it. Now, I've got a great Pete story on this. So,
you're going to score them. Maybe I shouldn't come the next time then. I was doing great when you weren't scoring anything.
Well, you know what? If you tip the score, it can work in your favor.
Pete's That's it. Okay, there you go. You got to pay off the score keep.
The margin. So one
now I
day,
know how Pete wins.
Well, Pete has been number 2 probably 5 times at our event. And I mean, one time he even brought the person that beat him, which really had to have hurt and paid for her entrance. You'll notice I said.
Yes. Yeah.
But one day we were visited by a fellow by the name, used to be the commander of the 1st Marine Division. And he came out and shot. And, I've known the gentleman for many, many years. And I mean, he and his wife are probably 2 of the most awesome people you'd ever, hope to meet. And he just looks like a Marine, and he looks like somebody that needs to command Marines. But I had no idea, about his skills with, firearms. But, the fellow's name is Roger Turner. He currently works for the Commandant back in D.C. But Roger comes up and just kind of goes about his business, and no one's paying a lot of attention over it except Pete, who's shooting right next to him. And then afterwards, the scores come, and now Pete's got a very, very respectable score, but Roger's just beaten him by about 100 points. And and after the event, Pete walks up and he goes, "You had to invite a Marine general." And for the next 3 events afterwards, Pete would send me a note before he signed up and would say, "Is Roger Turner coming?"
I got to tell you, Joel. I felt really good. I'd seen the scores. I shot late in the day, and I'd seen all the scores during the day. And this would have been about maybe the 3rd or 4th time I was destined to be the bridesmaid. And I shot right next to Roger, and we had a little conversation when we were getting ready before we started shooting in the little tent area. And hey, how you doing? Yeah, blah 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 blah. Just really a casual conversation. And by the 3rd handgun target, by the 3rd gun we had picked up, I was looking at his targets because I was shooting right after him, and I realized 1st is locked up already.
And not by you.
And not by me. Roger's handgun targets had tighter groups. than 90% of the people's rifle targets. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable. The man can shoot hair off a gnat. It's just, but it was such a pleasure to watch him.
You know, I'm from a Marine Corps and Navy town because I live in San Diego County. We love our Marines. We love our sailors. How can folks support what you do? Because just the thought of these men and women in the field in sketchy places defending our nation against unsavory folks, and they don't have a decent pair of socks, is absolutely absurd. So I want to get you all the support that I possibly can.
So our next event is, as I mentioned earlier, is the Socks for Heroes Open. It's on November 5th at Rahagis. And you can register by going to socks, the number 4 heroes, HEROES.com, and then /events, or just go to the website, Socks for Heroes. And then on the upper navigation bar, it says November event. And you can sign up to shoot, or you can take a sponsorship. For anybody watching the show today, when you check out, if you punch in GunGuyTV, all capital letters, we'll give you $25 off of your entry fee. And if you just would like to make a donation, just go to socksforheroes.com. We've got lots of donate buttons there, to assist you. We have a very large following of members of Her Majesty's forces. We've been shipping socks to Royal Marines and members of the Royal Air Force. All of the NATO countries that are currently supporting Operation Iraqi Freedom, and we're in Afghanistan. And we have a regular contributor from a gentleman who from France who we ship socks to, who got them both in Afghanistan and Iraq.
Vive la France. Well done, France. Thank you very much. You know, is this like a worldwide thing where service people either don't have enough socks or their socks suck? I mean, it seems like, is it every military in the world who can't come up with socks?
You know what? There was an article recently talking about intercepts from Russian troops who would, when they captured Ukrainians or came across Ukrainian bodies and spoiled them for their possessions. They all talked about something common, which was, where did these people get these great socks? I mean, we don't ship to the Ukrainians, but and the way that they're currently incenting Russians to surrender right now, cash, food, and socks. It's an amazing thing that it is universal, and nobody ever thinks about it. The other thing I also wanted to say is that this is so that Pete doesn't feel like we're disrespecting his organization, the CRPA. If you're also a member of the CRPA, type in CRPA, and we'll give you $25. It's only one discount, so you can either be GunGuyTV or CRPA. But we will be happy to incent you to come out and hang out with us a little bit. We think that once you'll come, you'll continue.
Well, here's my suggestion: type in GunGuyTV or CRPA, get the discount, and then go to the donate button and donate the discount. And here's my other suggestion. I'm just going to be, this is a shameless money plug right here. Here's my other suggestion. If you're super duper uber wealthy and you can afford it, and it's going to be tax time here pretty soon, write a check for $1 million. Write a check for $2 million. If it's your lunch money and you can afford it, write a check for $100,000. Guess what? It's deductible, I assume, Jim, is it not?
Absolutely.
Yeah, then there you go. You get to the end of the year, you've found that tax deduction that you've been looking for that you couldn't find. So, $5 helps, $10 helps. Going to the shooting event helps. But I would encourage you, if you've been incredibly blessed financially, help out. This is, like Jim said, this is basically he and his wife in their car running this thing. And unlike, I'm gonna say it because I'm assuming, so you're gonna have to correct me if I'm wrong, Jim. But this is not like these monster charities where you give money and 90 some odd percent of the money goes to the management of the charity and maybe 5 or 6% actually get to the people who need it. That's not the case here, is it?
Absolutely not. My wife and I don't take salaries. We never have. We operate the thing out of our house. I finally had to get rid of my 67 Chevy truck because of the fact that I couldn't afford to keep it running anymore. And so, we ended up, when we traded in our van, I ended up getting a truck. But the thing about it is that I pay for it, not the charity. The way that we believe it is that any money that comes into our shop, it's a Lance Corporal's money. It's not ours. And we want to make sure that they get all the value that we can.
And I'm just going to step up here real quick, and I'm gonna
write a check for $100,000.
Man, I wish I could.
I wish I could too, because I'd do it, but I don't have the money.
I'll put in a plug for the people behind this. I've been shooting with Socks for Heroes. I don't know. It's been 7 years. The first time I went, I came in second to one of your Marines. And little did I know that would be the story from there on out. That was when we did it in the old format where the top 4 got a chance to do a shootout at the end. And instead of putting scores online, there was just a big piece of paper in the back that everybody wrote the scores on. But I met Jim and Carla that day and came back. And I came back not only because I believe in what they're doing, and I think that it's such such a minor thing, but yet it has such major impact just to give somebody some socks. And they've gone beyond socks. They've gone to personal items on a couple of their shipments and reading Jim's emails and blogs and whatnot. But you will not find 2 people more dedicated, more steadier, more well founded people anywhere on the planet. I respect them to the nth degree, and I love them to death.
Best sales pitch on the planet, if you ask me. So, well done. Jim, may I ask you when we get done if you would send me links to your Facebook page and your website? I think I already have. And to make sure that we've got the donate button and like that, I will make sure I post links in the description. So if you're watching this, you'll find the links there. Easy to find. And once again, you can put CRPA in there if you want. You can put GunGuyTV, all caps, get a little discount, and you can help out Socks for Heroes. I just want to mention this, which is kind of obvious, I would think, but we forget about our military a lot because they're out doing stuff that isn't, at the top of the news cycle or whatever. But we have, even when we're not in a war, there are military members in horrible places all around this world fighting to keep us safe. And sometimes in places you wouldn't even imagine that they are, and they're not going to tell you, but they're there. And they need our support. I'm just stunned that the military can't manage to provide these folks with decent pair of socks, but I'm grateful, Jim, that you do, and you and your wife. And I would love it if you would come back on the show periodically and kind of give us an update. Are you willing to do that?
Absolutely. We're always happy to share what we're doing with our friends.
Pete, last word, go.
November the 5th, Rohagi's, for those that don't know where Rohagi's is, it's in Corona, California, right out the 91 freeway, just about 45, 50 minutes east of downtown Los Angeles. It's an incredible facility. Once you get out there, you'll see what a great setup they have. Super wide open bay. Jim runs it. There are more RSOs on the range there than there are guns. They've got people there. If you're not a great shooter, if it's your first time out, if you haven't shot in 30 or 40 years, Jim's got guys out there that will help you with every single gun, every single station, and make sure that you have fun. I brought Roxanne out there. She hadn't shot any of those things before, and they had somebody at every station that helped her, and she had a blast. She shot there 3 or 4 times now. The safety's paramount for these guys. They run an incredible event. It runs just as smooth as can be, and it's a blast. It's a blast to shoot. And again, once you pay the fee, remember, you're not shooting your gun, so you don't have to clean it afterwards. That's Jim's job. And you're not shooting your ammo, so you don't have to go through any hokey, stupid California background check nonsense to get your 94 rounds of ammo to spend over the next 20 minutes and enjoy. So go on out there, have a great time, and please think about the people that are out there defending you and your way of life, and put a venti mocha frappuccino latte half calf double calf with a twist. Put that in Jim's donate instead of your next drive.
And according to Steve Martin, by the way, that's a double decaffeinated half calf with a twist. Jim, last word, go.
You know what? We're just grateful for the opportunity to be of service. You know, it's one of those things where you wake up one day and you think, I've got a great idea, and then 11 years later you're wondering, wow, well, that was an idea. But you know what? We're happy for the opportunity to help, and we're grateful for all of the folks that have helped us help the kids forward.
And Pete Evergreen, Evergrow, Evermore. Thank you very much, Pete, for setting this all up. Jim, thank you very much for joining on the show. I'm looking forward to you coming back again. And I'm looking forward to November. And I'll make sure that I hit something besides the berm. I promise.
Hopefully not one of the RSOs.
Keep it pointed down range. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Thanks,
Thank you very much for watching the entire video. Please do support Socks for Heroes. It is a great charity. There will be links in the description. You'll be able to find them there. So you'll find a link to the Facebook page for Socks for Heroes, their website. And as I said, and as for that matter, Jim said, we all said you can donate a number of different ways. I hope to see you at their next event, which is on November 5th at Rahagis, and you'll find information on the website about that too. Thank you again. Have a wonderful week. Don't forget to join GunGuyTV crew. You'll find that link in the description as well. Or for that matter, if you're already on Patreon or Locals, you can join on either of those places. Just search for GunGuyTV or GunGuyTV crew. You'll find it. Have a great week. Thank you again. And wherever you go, whatever you do, stay safe.